If you're new to the channel and you want to know all there is about Cleveland, Ohio, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so that you can stay updated on all things Cleveland and know when we upload a new video. My name is Kip Sweeney with Living Cleveland, Ohio, powered by Mancuso Homes and eXp Realty, and we get calls from people just like yourself every single day looking to move in 9 days or 9 months, whatever that might be. We're here to help make sure you have a smooth transition and really enjoy what can be an overwhelming real estate process. So we're here. My contact information is in the description box below. Make sure to give me a text, a call, shoot me an email, or schedule a time to meet in person if you're local, or meet on Zoom. If you're out of state, I'll be happy to assist you. However, we are going to jump into the video on Hudson, and we're going to take a tour using Google Maps and really show you what it's like, where it is, and everything about it. All right, so let's jump on in to this video. So you're thinking about making the move to Hudson, Ohio, but you're wondering, where is it? What does it have to offer? What's in town? You know, what's around it, and how far is it from the airport? How far is it from downtown? Well, in today's video, we are going to jump into the computer and we're going to use Google Maps to really dissect Hudson, to give you an idea of what it's like to kind of live there and the location and what's around, so that you can really truly have as much information as possible and to be educated enough to decide whether you want to actually look at it, whether you want to tour it, and things of that nature. So let's jump on into the video on Hudson, the map video itself. And if you guys want to hear more, if you want to look a little bit more on the real estate side of things and get more into the personal side of things, make sure you contact me. Again, my contact information is in the description box below. And if this helps you, please share this video, give it a like, and subscribe so that I know that I'm doing the right things. But if there's anything I can do better, let me know. And also, let me know what you want to hear about next. Any other cities or towns that you'd like some information on. But let's jump on in the video. All right, here we go. Alrighty, guys. So let's look at Hudson. I have it pulled up here, and as you can see, this is probably one of the most simple towns to draw that we've had so far on the channel, right? So it is literally just a box. So just to give you an idea, and what you can see right off the bat is there isn't a whole ton of green, right? And so not that that's a bad thing, because you have towns surrounding you that is going to offer tons of parks. But as you can see, some of this green, we have golf courses. So you have some things of that nature. We have golf course up here as well. Now it's kind of in between two areas. And then we do have Hudson Springs Park. And then obviously some of these smaller little bit parks here. This is a school, Western Reserve Academy. So you can also go there, great school that you're gonna be able to use their land. You'll also be able to use their fields and things like that if you wanna get there. But just right off the bat, I just wanna point out, it's not as much green as maybe some of the other places that we've talked about, similar to Cuyahoga Falls. You know, Cuyahoga Falls has tons of parks, and it makes so, you know, they have a national park, so they have a lot of that to offer. But I just want to point that out right off the bat, as you can see that here, when we just take a quick glance, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just something that I want to point out so that, you know, if it's like, oh, hey, I want to bike to the park every day, maybe you gotta, you know, take into consideration where you are, what park that you want to go to, and how far of a bike ride you want to be. Enough of that, because I don't think that's going to necessarily be the biggest deciding factor for some people. Let's zoom out and see where we are in relation to Cleveland. So as you can see, you're a little bit further away from Cleveland. Now, one thing I want to note right off the bat, and I spoke about this in my pros and cons video, and you may have already read it over here on the left side, but Hudson is in Summit County, right? So Summit County, most of Cleveland is really going to be engulfed around Cuyahoga County. Now, Cuyahoga County is going to have a higher tax rate, so property taxes in Cuyahoga County, that took me way too long. Anyway, they're going to be a little bit higher than most places. Now, some of these areas in the county itself, Cuyahoga County, are going to be, depending on the area that you're in, might be a little less than some of the more high-end suburbs, of course. But Summit County, for the most part, is notoriously known for some of their lower taxes, their property taxes. Now it's still above the national average, but it's around 1.58%, whereas Cuyahoga County is usually going to be above, the averages are going to be above that 2%. So there's a nice little, you know, difference in that for property taxes. But a lot of the times when people talk about Hudson, you still may consider it Cleveland. You know, a lot of the suburbs around Cleveland we consider, so it can really be a hit or miss depending on who you're speaking to, but it's still close enough where people in Hudson are driving up to Cleveland all the time. They obviously use the airport that's in Cleveland, and people don't think twice about it necessarily, but it's still going to be something that we want to point out, especially because that is kind of one of the pros about Summit County and being out of Cuyahoga County, is that you get to benefit from those taxes. But let's start let's go ahead and see Hudson to downtown Cleveland. So this is just the center of both points. I didn't do any landmarks per se. You're looking at more of a 37-minute ride with tolls and a 36-minute drive without tolls. So, if you want to spend some tolls, if you are going during rush hour, if you're going during a time where it's not necessarily favorable, then sure, you can go ahead and take those tolls. Now, just as a, something to point out, the tolls really only last from here to about here. So those tolls aren't going to be anything crazy. It's not going to be really expensive. And honestly, unless there's some crazy traffic over here, or you're trying to beat traffic right here, which, yeah, can build up, then the tolls may not be worth it. But this is going to be a main drag here to downtown. So you're going to hit that traffic on both routes for the most part. But right now, it's looking at a 36-minute, 37-minute drive, depending on the route you take, which really isn't bad. Now, of course, in my pros and cons video, I did speak a little bit about how if you're going to be Ubering downtown all the time, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But now, considering the prices of Hudson, I don't necessarily think a lot of the people that are going to be moving there are going to be Ubering downtown all the time. Now, I guess what I should say, because many of the people that do live in Hudson might be working downtown, they are going to experience that 36-minute drive, and you are going to hit rush hour. You're going to hit some of the peak hours, you're going to hit some of that traffic, and so in that sense, the tolls may be your friend. And then on the way home, similar thing. In those peak hours, you're going to hit a little bit of that traffic on the freeway, especially right over here where that main drag is to downtown, right? And then this is going to be a little bit of a buildup where people are going to be branching off. You might see a little freedom here and a little bit once you get past here. So that's just something that you're going to need to think about, and it's something that you need to visualize and see, of course, because depending on the drive, depending on where you're working, you may not be someone that wants to make that drive all the time. But it's always subjective. It's something that people decide on their own, and some people love driving, some people hate driving. So it's always good to point out. So Hudson to Hopkins, that's our international airport here in Cleveland, is going to be a 33-minute or 34-minute drive, depending on what you do. Once again, there's tolls. All right, and again, those tolls aren't anything crazy. Now, the tolls are going to be a little bit longer than what it was. So this is all the toll road here, right? So it's going to be a little bit more expensive than not taking the tolls. And for that 1 minute, it's probably not worth it unless there's traffic and you really have to get to the airport. This does build up again. Right here, you're going to see some build up. Right here, you might see a little bit of build up. But yeah, so if you're asking friends and family to drive you, being a 33-minute drive, turning into a little bit of an over an hour drive for those people every time, could be a little bit of a headache. And of course, if you're taking an Uber, it may be a little bit costly, depending on the time, $60, $50 every time you do that. Now, it depends on how often you travel and all that, but it's just something good to know. But the great thing is that you do have options, you do have routes, and this is just to show you that Hudson is nicely located where you have easy access to get to the places, to get to the freeway, and it's not a huge ordeal, right? So now why don't we zoom back in a little bit and kind of jump back into Hudson itself so that we can really take a look at what that looks like inside of Hudson, where we want to go visit, what's around, and all of that good stuff. So if we zoom back in, so we're looking at Hudson. Before we even jump back in, why don't we go ahead and take a look what's around. Some of the points that I want to mention, and we've spoken about a couple of them. So first and foremost, we have Akron here. So Akron is going to be an option for you guys. Akron obviously is a university town. You have the University of Akron there. And along with all this, you have jobs. You have workplaces, you have bigger companies, and places that you're going to be able to get a job. So if you do live in Hudson and you're going south towards Akron, that's going to be an easy ride for you. Or Fairlawn is going to be a great place as well. You'll see a lot of these positions in there depending on what you do. Manufacturing stuff, agricultural stuff in some points, and then you have finance and IT, of course, hospitals, things of that nature. Now, some of the smaller areas that are going to be a little bit more popular: Stowe, Cuyahoga Falls, Kent. Again, Kent's going to be nice, bigger school area, so it has that town feeling, if that smaller university town feeling, if you ever want to do that and enjoy that. But the big ones right there, those three: Stowe, Kent, and Cuyahoga Falls. Especially Cuyahoga Falls, as we spoke about having that national park. Stowe is going to be a little bit more just residential. So honestly, if you're going there, you might be going there for a restaurant or family and friends that might live there. And then Kent's going to have more of that, those stores, those things to do and places to be. Now, if we're going to go a little bit north, you're going to go a little further. One of the hot spots is going to be Chagrin Falls. Very, very, very popular place. Everyone really enjoys it there. It's a very comfortable area, and I would say that their downtown rivals the downtown of Hudson, and might even be better, depending on your opinion and depending on who you are. It depends, but both have awesome downtowns, and it's nice that they're both so close to experience that. Now, Aurora is going to be bigger, and this is going to be an area not necessarily where you're going to go to do a lot of local things per se, but if you need a chain that you're not finding around you, more than likely Aurora has it. You know, they're going to have those shops that you're going to need in case you have specific or a niche thing that you're looking for, that you want to buy, whatever that might be. You'll be able to find that in Aurora, so you're good there, and you don't have to worry there as much. Now, if you want some high-end shopping further past, so you're going to be going up to this area here. Beechwood is going to be a popular mall. It's also kind of a popular area. It has just some high-end luxury stores. You know, you're going to have your Saks, your Nordstrom's, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, places of that nature. So if you're looking to go and shop in person, that's going to be it. That's going to be a little bit of a further drive for you. From Hudson, it's going to be probably about a 35-minute drive, I would say. It's mostly freeway, so it's not a bad drive whatsoever. So let's continue and jump back in. I do want to show you a little bit of Hudson to Akron, just in case, because Hudson to Akron, Ohio, is going to be only a 20-minute drive. So again, this is great if you're working in Akron. Very easy. I don't think a 20-minute drive is going to scare anyone. And then, of course, if you can't go to Hopkins, you have Akron Canton Airport, which is going to be a little bit further, so at a 28-minute drive. But this is an option in case you find a better deal, in case it just fits your schedule better. So it's just another way that you're kind of nicely in between both of those locations, Hopkins and Akron airports. But you're not going to find as many options, obviously, at Akron as you will at Hopkins. Just depends on what's easiest. Maybe you have someone living in Akron, drop your car off, Uber to their house or whatever, and they drop you off. You know, something like that. So it's always something to think about, always something to look at. And it's a thing, it's just something that you can entertain. At least you have multiple options. That is always a positive. But again, Cuyahoga Falls here, you have Kent over here. Streetsboro, you probably won't visit as much, but Boston Heights over here, if you're into skiing, if you're into snowboarding, it's by no means anything out west. It's by no means any New York. But if you just want to have some fun, you can go over here to Brandywine. They have some hills. And it's also a great place to go and visit in the summer. Again, just to hike, to take trails, and things of that nature. And of course, Twinsburg. Twinsburg is going to be a great city for shopping as well, for all those chains, things of that nature, as well as parks. So Twinsburg really offers quite a bit when it comes to that. So let's finally dive in to the city itself, because Hudson really has a lot to offer. Hudson is a one-stop shop. It has everything that you're going to need, no matter what it is. They have local shops, they have chains, they have commercial restaurants, they have local restaurants. They have a cute downtown space that's going to be very comfortable for everyone. It's going to be a ton of activities are going to be hosted there all throughout the different seasons. And it's going to be stuff for family, for adults, for children. You're really going to be able to find something to do in Hudson, along with great schools and so on. You're going to really be able to enjoy this. So let's just zoom in first and foremost to their downtown space. So still a little bit more difficult to kind of show from this zoomed out, but here is the downtown space, the downtown part of Hudson. It's a place that many people are going to go to, and this is a lot where the events are going to happen, right? We have the greenery here in the middle of it. We have it on the outskirts a little bit. If you go right, there is going to be a local higher end grocery store over here named Heinen's. That's very common. Here you go, summer concerts. They're already advertising what's going on, but you can just go around the square, and depending on what you want, what you're looking for, you're going to be able to get everything. There's some different restaurants all around. You have a bunch of different stores. So it's actually a lot of fun. A lot of people love it here just because of the fact that it is a very quaint, little, comfortable downtown space. They keep it very, very clean. And even though you might not see a whole ton of parking per se, it's really not hard to find space. It's really not hard to park here. It's pretty easy, and if you ever need extra parking, there is more on the outside. Usually, I've only ever had to use it when I've gone to some of their events, the concerts, and obviously everyone is there. But otherwise, I've never really had to have it to go there to use that. So it's a very comfortable area. There's ice cream, there's restaurants, there's stores, There's green space for you guys just to hang out, and there is parking. So there is a ton to do here in the downtown Hudson area. Now, the thing about this though is that this really isn't the only spot. So if we continue down to the street, this is going to be another spot. Now, this one isn't going to be as easily accessible, easily as walkable. This is going to be a little bit busier. So we're right in the intersection right now. However, it's another square. So we have more green space here that people will hang out on, things happen at, events, all that. Most do take place over here inside where we just were, but as I come this way, you're going to notice some of the shopping, some of the restaurants, a little bit on the outskirts, right? So you still have it even on the outside of kind of that center area. Again, more space, some walking trails, things to do. It's just a very comfortable, clean, and easygoing place. It's just, again, quaint, very comfortable, historic feeling. It really offers that comfort, that small town feel. You know, it's very colonial-esque in the sense, along with all the homes that you see. It's a very colonial style. They really, truly take care of the area and truly preserve it. It's something that they want to do, and they keep it that way. So they really have some strict rules, especially in the housing side of things, about what you can do with the house if you're building new, what you can do if you're adding on, things like that. And then along with the businesses, if you're an entrepreneur or if you own a business, it's something to think about as well, because sure, if you're going to do anything and you're going to get into any of these buildings, you're going to be confined to some options, to some things. But I mean, for the most part, and you guys will see this when I take my vlog, go through the houses, not through the houses, but take you through some differing price points in Hudson, because you have everything. The downtown is so easy to get to. Many people love it. There's tons of events. There's not as much over here. This side is living, so that's why I haven't really gone down that way. But you really can just enjoy what this place has to offer. And it has has things to do for everyone and anyone. So no matter your age, no matter who you are, what you're looking for, you're a first-time, home buyer, you're out of the city, you don't live there, you're a retiree, whatever it is, if you have kids, you're going to be able to do things perfect. But this is the downtown space. It's very comfortable. It's just a very nice area. Many people love to go to it, and they get great turnouts when they host events and when they do things. You won't go wrong going downtown. So let's zoom back out. Let's get back out to the map and review a little bit more. So we've kind of zoomed out. We've come back to the layers, the other aspect of it. So, and just to give you an idea I want to show you kind of some of these restaurants and some of these places, because it's really not, these aren't commercial places. You have a lot of local places. Tomato Grill, you have Flipside, that's going to be a little bit more chain-like, but locally owned. It's not like a chain per se in the sense of everywhere has it. You have Pizzeria, you have Cold Stone Creamery, that's a great ice cream shop. You have Restore, so juice, and I mean, you have more here. I think Aladdin's is in here too. Where did Aladdin's go? Aladdin's is going to be a great Mediterranean, so I highly recommend Aladdin's, and I stand corrected. Lebanese American. They have a couple restaurants, and they live locally in Ohio as well. They live across town on the west side. So great place. Heinen's up here is owned locally. They have a decent amount throughout Cleveland and Northeast Ohio area. So it's a very comfortable spot. The biggest chain here that you're probably going to be seeing right now is Cycle Bar, in my opinion. Maybe Northeast Ohio Skin Center, probably not. Stir Studio, that's a great little place for family and friends. Again, you go and you kind of sit down with one another and you cook your own meals together. They teach you how to cook. It's a great little party area. I graduated with one of the owners, so obviously I'm a little biased, but I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's just a fantastic place. There's everything to do here. But enough of that. I don't need to keep kind of taking up your time talking about downtown, but it's just a huge selling point in Hudson. People want to be here for that space. They want to have easy access. Now, some want to be here for the title, per se, of living in Hudson, because again, for my pros and cons, some people think that it's just, if you say, oh, I live in Hudson. However, not everyone, by any means. So don't, take that for a grain of salt. But it's just that this is going to be a huge selling point, as well as the schools, as well as the homes themselves. So let's continue to look a little bit out what we have here to offer. Again, we talked a little bit about the parks And if once we get a little bit further away from the actual downtown space, we get a little bit more commercial. So right when we come down, you're gonna see that as we come down Main Street, we have more shopping here. And this is gonna be, Donato's, Discount Drug Mart, Hudson, Ace Hardware. I'm pretty certain Ace Hardware is everywhere. I just know there are a lot of franchises here, but I'm 99.9% everywhere that has Ace Hardware. But again, as I zoom in a little bit more, you see there's going to be more commercial aspects. Sherwin-Williams. Now, Joanne, you saw that a little bit lower, but if we're going to go north of this, now this is getting us into Twinsburg a little bit more if we continue to go up Main Street. But across this, you're going to have some living, a lot of houses, but you're going to have barbecue place, and this is where you're going to really get hit with a lot of the chains. And again, this is kind of entering Twinsburg, but it's something that's nearby. It's something that's going to be easy to access in case you need something up there. You have all that available to you. So it's not like you have to, you don't have to rely on a local restaurant or a local store having what you want. You're going to really be able to find everything and anything, no matter where you go. So right, we went north and south. Now, if we're going to go left and right, now this is going to be a little bit more of your living. This is going to be a little bit more, there's still stores and restaurants. You're just not going to find it as much. But what I want to point out is when you see and when you look at a lot of these streets, you're going to see that some of these streets are neighborhood-like, while others are more so just on kind of a little bit of busier street, which is going to be common. But I want you to know that you can find your normal neighborhoods. You can find cul-de-sacs, you can find dead ends, all of that within Hudson. So it's a very comfortable place. You can find what you want to look for in the housing in Hudson, Ohio. You can find what you are looking for in Hudson, Ohio, no matter what that is. If you want that normal, that traditional neighborhood with a cul-de-sac, you will be able to get that. You can find that. But the one thing I do want to point out, and let's see if we can see it here, when we do look at like properties, you're going to notice that there isn't any overwhelmingly huge property, right? So comfortable neighborhoods, it's very, very comfortable, and there's enough space by all means, but you're not going to be finding multiple acres here. You're not going to be finding even maybe over an acre in some parts. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but when you do, if you do, it's going to be pretty expensive. But as you can see, it's not like we have a whole ton of greenery. Now, homes do size greatly, and there are some great sized homes, there are some small sized homes. So you can find what you want. Again, a lot of it is preserved history. So if you think about homes that are a little older, some of them aren't the biggest, but a lot of people will add on, a lot of people will add on, they'll continue to grow those homes, those properties with the permits, with the approval, because sometimes that can be a little tough to get. You just have to make sure that you're following the rules. All right. So we've kind of reviewed distance from the airport, distance from Akron, Cleveland, what all of that looks like. And we kind of jumped in to see what it's like within Hudson. We really hit on Hudson downtown space because that's going to be one of the biggest things drawing all the people here. But as you can notice, it is pretty large, right? Hudson's pretty big. And if you look at the left, 23,110 people at the 2020 census. So it's going to have really space for anyone. And down here, a lot of Hudson is pretty much, if you were to draw a second box, a lot of it takes place there, and we might branch out here a little bit because Hudson, that Western Reserve, is pretty important. But there is stuff for everyone on the outskirts, right? So there is still living, there are things to do over here, but it's going to be a little bit more commercial. You're going to find a little bit more of the commercial stores. You're going to find taking a little bit longer to get places and to do things. But the big thing is you're right here next to the turnpike. So you have easy access from here. Right here is going to be another really easy spot to get to, Ohio 8 that is, and that's going to be probably a very common thing that you're going to take if you're not getting on any tolls or taking any tolls. That's going to be something that you are going to utilize pretty much every day. I know I do. And then of course, the drive-thrus themselves aren't bad. It's not like these are pretty quick drives. Of course, when you get into Hudson, you're going to slow down. When you get to downtown space, you're going to slow down. But again, like 40, 45 mile per hour roads. So it's going to be something where just because you live in any one of these quadrants, of Hudson, doesn't mean it's going to take you a long time to get anywhere. Hudson is nicely located really, no matter where you are, to get pretty much anywhere. Yeah, whether that's a nearby city, whether that's going to get to the freeway to go downtown, or getting on the freeway to go to the airport. You really have options, which makes it a fantastic location for pretty much anyone. But as we've spoken about in the pros and cons, it's not going to be the most ideal spot for first-time home buyers. Now, why is that? Well, let's go ahead and look at what Hudson looks like on the property report side of things. So we have this pulled up. So as you can see right now, 60 homes for sale right now is up 15% in the last 30 days. We are getting close to the spring market, so this is not unusual. This is good. We actually need a lot more supply. We are not in the highest at the moment. I'm sure everywhere else as well. But your market average, so $659,718. So that's going to put you about $238 for your price per square foot. And I would say that price is going to be a little high, but $238 isn't the worst, honestly, when you think about other houses in Cleveland. Now, of course, what this does is it tells us that the houses are probably quite large. Let's continue looking down. So let's look at some recent listings. So here we go. So Hudson, Ohio, we have a 3-bed, 3-bath, 0 half baths. Let's see what the condition is like. So again, like I said, it's not bad land, not bad property, but depending on how much you want, may be sometimes hard to attain. So when we look at it, we see it's clean, it's nice. I would say it's turnkey, move-in ready, make it yours long-term, and just really make it how you want it in the future. Now, we do have a lot of basements here in Cleveland, Ohio, and just in Ohio in general. So don't be surprised by that. Those are awesome. If you're coming from a state that doesn't have a basement, your life is gonna be changed. So much extra space, and it's not incorporated with basements, but you're gonna love Hudson as well. But that's an idea right there, looking at $555,000, and we are looking at a 1972 build at 3,337 square feet, right? So not bad. I would say this is going to be a home that probably sells pretty close to this price. You know, obviously prices are never a sure thing. So what they list for doesn't mean that's what they're going to sell for. And as you saw, I think on the last page, we have some of these houses selling. The average home sold in the last 30 days has been $551,000, which is up 6.4%. But it's just something to look at. It's something to think about, and it's interesting to view. So I would say that's a pretty comfortable home. I don't know about you guys. That's pretty good, $555,000. But again, it's only a 3.3, but it has a lot of space, offering quite a bit to do. So there's that $555,000, which is great, but let's look at what we can get for $2.7 million. All right, so here's the most expensive currently. This is going to be a 5-bed, 4-bath, 2 half-bath, 5,648 square foot home, and one of the few that are going to get you a lot of land, 3.94 acres. Now, let's look at what it has to offer. So it's obviously a beautiful home. You're not going to go wrong with anything. I'm sure it's all high-end appliances, very comfortable, turnkey. Some things you might want to change. I'm sure there's going to be some updates, like that yellow room. I'd probably paint that a different color, but I would leave this. I mean, this is really nice. Honestly, don't hate the green. So it's a great viewpoint to see, all right, this price home is also priced with pretty nice updates. It looks like it's pretty move-in ready. I mean, some of these houses that you get that are like this are still a little dark, they're a little outdated. You know, some people like that taste, but for the most part, I would say they typically look like they need some love in updates, of course. But this is a very comfortable, and I would say this is interesting, turnkey home. Oh, this is cool. I haven't looked at this house. You and I are looking at this together the first time. But I mean, this is a really cool, unique home. There's a lot of stuff in this one specifically that you're not going to find in many homes whatsoever. I know it's $2.7 million, so it better be. But even in other homes of similar price, you may not see some of this. So you could see that they really loved their home and that they took care of it and that they really did what they wanted to do, even including what appears to be a pool. There it is. Yep. So as you can see, this is going to be one of the more expensive homes, and it's going to offer some of that land. So that's going to be part of the price. That land is something that you're not going to always get in Hudson. And it's also on a golf course. So you're really kind of getting it all with this one here. Let's pull up a map and show you where this is. So it's not actually on a golf course. Here it is. It's very, very close to the downtown space. So not only are you getting a ton of land, you're also getting a large home, and you are very close to that downtown area, which is, you're getting 3 check marks right there. And it's going to be high demand. Now, the amount of people, of course, that are going to say, hey, let's do it, let's afford it, I can afford it, we are in Cleveland. This is just going to be a great example of what could be gotten. But of course, that 555,000 is currently one of the newer listings, and that's going to be a little bit more of what to expect when you look at the Hudson market. All right, so now I'm going to show you one of the more popular listings according to the site. Now, this I chose as well because it's only 410,000, so kind of a nice, it's getting a little bit lower, something where some first-time home buyers might be able to afford, going FHA, things of that nature. It's possible. It's definitely possible. I wouldn't put anyone out, but let's look at it and see what we have. So we have a 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 1,920 square foot, almost half an acre. Again, as I was saying, that $2.7 million property, ton of land. Not always gonna get that. The first one was at 0.6 acres, and now we're at 0.4, but you're not looking at, say, some older towns like Lakewood, Ohio, if you're familiar, or even Cuyahoga Falls, where you are closer to your neighbor, there's a lot more houses, and you don't have as much space. At Hudson, you're gonna have a nice property, but it depends on how much acre you want. If you want farm, you're not really gonna get that in Hudson. So that's kind of what I was gearing towards when I was talking about pricing and land. Reviewing this, you can see, not necessarily the most updated. There's things to be done, but when you look at it and you say, okay, what are we getting and where are we going to be? You have a vision, you can make this your own. Now, of course, you need the cash to do so once moved in, but some people might say, hey, I want to be in Hudson. This home fits my budget, and I'm gonna say, let's buy it and we'll slowly make the upgrades and improvements over time. So, and of course there's also loans. If you're familiar with a 203K, sometimes that can work to allow you to buy the property and bundle your updates into that mortgage, into your loan. Now, of course, there's more specifics. So, we'd speak to a lender. Don't take what I'm just saying and think, oh, I can do this, but I can always provide those lenders for you. But again, great example of what you're kind of going to get at that 410 range. This is a nice home. I would say it's pretty comfortable. It shows that it has some newer upgrades, including a new roof, which is great, a new bathroom, a renovated bathroom, modern HVAC, useful word, I guess. But you're gonna have some of these updates and upgrades that are gonna be some of the bigger things already taken out of the picture for you, which is great because then you can kind of focus on the inside. And so this is just a great example of what you're seeing and what you're looking at here at 410,000. And again, a colonial styled home. And when we look at the location, look where we are. We're pretty close to downtown Hudson. Again, this is really where you see a lot of these homes pop up in that square that I built earlier. And then of course on the outskirts, there's stuff there, of course. It's going to be there. It's just that you see a lot in this area because it's a little bit more concentrated. So that really wraps up our video on the Hudson tour using Google Maps. Let me know what you guys thought about it. If this was helpful, if you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer them. And please let me know what you want to hear about next, and I will make sure to get some videos going on those places. But reach out with any questions. Again, my contact information is in the description box below, or of course you can put a comment below as well. And if this was helpful for you, or if you know any family and friends that might be interested in this, please do share it with them. And of course, check out my pros and cons and be prepared for my vlog that will come out here soon when we're actually in Hudson touring it. But you can't go wrong here. You have your shopping, you have your eating, you have your living, you have your outdoor space and indoor activities if you need it during the winter, all here in Hudson, especially around this square area. None of these restaurants are restaurants that you can go wrong with, and you're going to truly have an amazing experience, whether you're in that downtown space or you come off a little bit and come to some of the outskirts of it as well. You're going to be able to enjoy all of what Hudson has to offer. But for now, take care. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe if it was helpful, and let me know if there's any questions or if there's anything else you want me to cover. If you've been to Hudson, if you're from Hudson, or if you know about Hudson, leave any additional information that I might have missed out on, or any hotspots that you would advise people to go to so that anyone coming here can read and really just be able to be as educated as possible when they leave and have that information for them and for their decision making. All right, but for now, thank you for watching, take care, and on to the next video.